Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this press conference by the President of the UN Human Rights Council, His Excellency Omar Zniber, who's also the permanent representative of Morocco to the United Nations office at Geneva. We're very pleased to have President Zniber today, who will give you a brief highlight of what's going to happen at this upcoming 56th session. And Ambassador Zniber will also present his priorities for his presidency and highlight two specific events, high-level events, that will take place during this 56th session. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to Ambassador Zniber. Sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pascal. I would like to express the fact that I'm very happy to be with you this morning for this press briefing with the medias concerning the launchment next week of the 56th session of the Human Rights Council. I would like to say that it will be, as usual, an important session during which we will have to assess many and various questions. I would like just to make a short presentation about the subjects we will tackle. First of all, of course, we will have the annual report of the High Commissioner. Normally, this report gives a complete overview about the assessment of his office on the situation of human rights globally. Secondly, of course, we will have some important panels and annual panels on the adverse impact of climate change, on the question of the right of women, but also on the UPR processes, just to give you some examples. When it comes to the country situations, we will have important presentations by commissioners of inquiries, particularly the one on OPT, Occupied Palestinian Territories, and East Jerusalem, on the 19th of June. Likewise, we will have a first exchange with the experts of the Commission on Sudan on the 18th of June. There will be also, of course, an interaction with the Commission of Inquiry in Syria. As usual, I mean, our session will also have to develop very numerous interactive dialogues with special rapporteurs, but also to hear from, the adoption of UPR reports, and of course, tackle the question of the resolutions. So far, we forecast a number of between 20 and 25 resolutions to be adopted during the next session. An updated list is already, of course, established for the medias if, of course, they are interested by some or all the resolutions which will be adopted during this session. As you said, Mr. Pascal, we will use this session, and particularly during some lunch times, to organize, as a presidency, two important, if not to say major events. The first one will be organized on the 20th of June on the so-called trilogy, 20th of June from 12 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will be a presidential discussion on the trilogy, meaning the impact of climate change on food and health security. This session is called for to have an in-depth debate, to exchange suggestions, recommendations, and observations about these subjects, which are matter of concerns, more and more becoming urgent matters, but also some issues which, of course, have a human rights-based dimension, and then should and could have a human rights-based perspective. And this is the purpose of this presidential discussion, is to have a coordinated approach on these three subjects so that the Council be more vocal, be more active when dealing with these matters. We do know, of course, that they are already inscribed in the agenda of the Council variously, that some special procedures and working on these matters, that there are resolutions. But what we do need is to make the Council, again, better oriented, make the Council acting on these very urgent questions, knowing that, for example, if we tackle the question of the food security, we have hundreds of millions of population worldwide living in food insecurity. Likewise, when it comes to the question of health, with all the developments we have witnessed these past few years, it is unfortunate that a huge part of the world population has no access to modern medicine, to imagery. So as a Human Rights Council, we have, of course, to care about that, and particularly also knowing that the climate change is impacting severely populations already suffering from these, difficult situations I refer to. So climate change is provoking, a move of population, is deteriorating the environment and the biodiversity, and from the human rights perspective, it is important that the Council, again, run at the best speed when tackling these matters. And the second important event will be organized on the 24th of June from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. and will be devoted to a celebration of the Day of Women and Diplomacy. This is also an important event, and we are forecasting, as for the first one, very high-level panelists, particularly leaders of the international organization in Geneva, but also those coming from other headquarters to discuss these matters, coming from New York, from Nairobi, and particularly then also the 24th of June, the issue of gender parity, gender equity in the world of diplomacy is fundamental, as you know. There is a resolution which was adopted by General Assembly on this matter. We will celebrate this day, and we will particularly insist on what could be done more here in Geneva in this perspective to make this gender equity a full reality within the international organization in our action, and also, of course, from the perspective of member states in their missions and more globally in the world of diplomacy. We will have a very interesting dialogue, for these 2 hours, from which we will draw, I am pretty sure, good guidelines to make our work more concrete and, more, applicable on the ground. These were the main elements I wanted to present, Mr. Pascal, also with my colleagues from the medias on this 56th session. And of course, I'm ready to answer to any question or any observations or comment by the journalist. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we'll open the floor to questions, and I understand that today's briefing is fully online. So for all the journalists who are attending this briefing through Zoom, please feel free to raise your hand so that we can take your questions. Et bien sûr, on prend vos questions en anglais et en français. First, Emma Farge from Reuters, please.
Good morning, Ambassador. Thanks for the briefing. I wanted to know what the latest is on the funding, actually, for the many ongoing investigations. I know that was a concern of many countries that, especially on the Sudan investigation, that they wouldn't have the funds to actually get those investigations running. Have they been overcome? And I also just wanted to ask on a second point, how concerned are you about divisions in the Council over gender issues in the next session? Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Yes, indeed, we are facing, as you know, of course, as we know all, some severe, financial situation, in terms of liquidities. But nevertheless, the Office of the High Commissioner is doing its best to make this the mechanism of the council working, I mean, not to be stopped at all. We have postponed, as you may know, many activities of the council. That decision was taken during the last session, but according to the last information I got on these aspects, there is, let's say, limited amelioration of the situation. I was informed by that, which means that we have to stay optimistic, and also particularly, I mean, the financement, all these inquiry commissions, the special procedures, their activities. What is established for this year, for example, is that for some special rapporteurs, when it comes to the country visits, it has been limited to one compared to what was in the past. And we do hope that we will overcome this situation as soon as possible. Myself, as president, I am in direct contact with all those involved, be it at the level of the Secretariat General of the United Nations in New York, but also the commissions and where the state parties have also to play their role there in New York to try to overcome the situation. I have advocate for a specific treatment for the Human Rights Council and its mechanism, given, of course, the importance of its activities currently and I mean also for the next future. I can't enter into details. I still have hope that we can, go this way. As I said, I spoke on this question with the Secretary General in New York, with, also, Undersecretary on Management, also with the President of the Commissions, Fifth Commissions and others, the COC, all of them, of course, and still here. With the members of the Bureau, we are following very closely the situation. So, on the gender issue, of course, it's an important matter. We do hope that we will have the best debate possible, and we will have this gathering, as I said, the annual panel on the right of women, which will offer the possibility for all actors to come and to enrich our debate and to go ahead with these, equal rights we are seeking for, the gender, globally. So, as well as you may know that the focal point also of the Council on this issue is working very strongly, preparing some activities and proposals for the weeks ahead. I'm pretty sure you will be informed about that. I am also in contact with the President of the General Assembly, given the fact that he has established this gender equity and gender parity as one of his major priorities, as it is the case for me. And by the way, we have launched together this initiative last session, on training, open to all the missions here, open to all those who can, be trained to face and, combat and eradicate, particularly the sexual harassment.
Thank you. Une question de Catherine Fiancan-Bokonga de France 24, s'il vous plaît.
Merci Pascal. Bonjour Excellence. Merci de venir nous briefer ce matin au Palais. Ma question est également sur vos capacités financières, parce que c'est vrai que vous avez beaucoup de priorités qui sont indiquées, comme celle que vous venez d'évoquer sur l'égalité de genre. Mais quels sont vos moyens financiers et est-ce que vous avez des possibilités innovatrices? Parce que souvent, lorsque les pays passent leur examen périodique universel, des recommandations sont formulées et souvent ces recommandations ne peuvent pas être mises en action parce que les pays eux-mêmes n'ont pas les moyens de les démarrer. Alors, comment voyez-vous les choses pour que cette question soit traitée au sein de la prochaine session du Conseil? Je vous remercie.
Merci, madame. Effectivement, il s'agit d'un aspect majeur auquel nous devrions, je le concède, accorder davantage d'efforts, davantage en faire une priorité encore plus grande au sein du Conseil. Je suis de très près, naturellement, les discussions qui se passent sur tous ces aspects-là. Alors, quelles sont les recommandations pour répondre plus précisément à votre question qui pourraient être mises en œuvre? Il y a des idées. Comme vous le savez, nous avons 2 co-facilitateurs qui travaillent sur le processus de l'UPR. J'ai eu des interactions très détaillées avec eux et continue. Parmi les propositions qui sont sur la table, elles sont nombreuses, mais je voudrais m'arrêter simplement à 2 propositions ce matin. La première, c'est que, disons, l'origine de la recommandation, l'auteur de la recommandation puisse éventuellement, n'est-ce pas, envisager de s'engager pour sa mise en œuvre, lorsque cette recommandation est acceptée par l'État récipiendaire, de contribuer au financement de sa réalisation, non seulement l'aspect financier, mais aussi l'aspect, bien sûr, capacité, l'aspect échange d'expérience. Je pense que c'est une voie que nous devrions emprunter pour raffermir davantage. Ce n'est pas uniquement pour mettre, ce qui est très important, comme vous le soulignez, les moyens financiers nécessaires à disposition de l'État récipiendaire, mais aussi de renforcer la coopération entre les États. Et si cela devait se développer à une échelle importante, je pense que ça pourrait créer des synergies, ça pourrait créer une bonne entente, un terrain commun de travail pour la promotion des droits de l'homme plus globalement. Ceci est une première proposition. La seconde est naturellement de mettre à disposition toutes les technologies nouvelles, de mettre à disposition au niveau du Conseil et de ses procédures. Ça, c'est très important. Nous avons aussi des co-facilitateurs qui travaillent sur ces aspects-là, bien sûr, et nous espérons que nous pourrions, n'est-ce pas, étant donné le développement très rapide de ces technologies, y compris d'ailleurs l'intelligence artificielle. J'y reviendrai plus tard si vous souhaitez, parce que nous avons aussi un track, si vous voulez, une voie de travail sur l'intelligence artificielle. Déjà, plusieurs des co-facilitateurs sur l'ensemble des sujets ont produit des papiers. Si vous êtes intéressés, naturellement, ils sont disponibles. Nous allons en discuter, y compris à partir de demain, où nous avons une réunion de coordination entre tous les co-facilitateurs. Voilà. Si maintenant la référence devait être faite aux questions qui dépendent du financement du Conseil, comme vous le savez, Monsieur le Commissaire avait déjà indiqué lors de la dernière session qu'il y a eu cette année une augmentation des fonds alloués au commissariat pour ces activités. Je pense de l'ordre d'assez significatif. Ça peut aller jusqu'à 20%, sans me tromper. Voilà, sauf vouloir me tromper, pardon. Maintenant, l'augmentation du budget est là, mais les liquidités ne sont pas là pour les raisons que vous savez, et nous travaillons aussi pour pouvoir dépasser cette situation. Voilà.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nick Cumming-Bruce from the New York Times, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the briefing this morning, Ambassador. You mentioned that a lot of activities of the Council have been postponed as a result of decisions at the last session. I wonder if you could just remind us what some of these actions that have been postponed are, and whether you envisage that these are activities that will be picked up and resumed at some point this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Well, there are 17 activities which have been postponed. I don't have in memory the details. There is a document, of course, indicating all these activities which have been postponed. The important question, as I said at the beginning, is that I hope we have limited for this year this postponement to that. It has been said that it can be retooled depending of our possibilities, again, to have the necessary liquidities. You know, it has been a proposal made by the Secretariat, which have been discussed with all the stakeholders, particularly the delegations involved in these activities as co-sponsors or authors of these initiatives. So it has been made in a manner, of course, some activities also in link with the agenda item 9, others. I touched various agenda items of our activities. Again, I mean, every accessibility is possible for this document to go, to in details, in depth, for knowing precisely what are these activities which have been postponed. Postponed means that they have to come back in a way or another. The best would be that we can again relaunch these activities before the end of this mandate, meaning before next end of December. We will see, depending of what the situation will evolve, particularly, when it comes to the, finance and liquidity situations in New York, because we do depend on New York for that.
Thank you. Do we have more questions? Any questions for the President of the Human Rights Council on the 56th session? Well, if not, I invite you to join us in room 20 starting on Tuesday, June 18. And don't forget, we have the A to Z program, the updated program of work, which lists more than 100 reports that will be considered during this 56th session. Over 50 speakers, as many topics to be addressed. As the President said, we have around 20 draft resolutions that have been tabled so far, but we expect to have more. And feel free to follow us on our social media platform at HRC56 to get the latest update on the upcoming session. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Do you have any concluding words?
I would like again, thank you very much, Mr. Pascal. I thank all the colleagues for their questions. Just to insist again on this event of the 20th of June, like the one of the 24th of June, we have very high-level panelists. As I said, for the 20th of June, already confirmed. The DG of IEM, the Executive Secretary of UNEP coming from Nairobi, also the Deputy High Commissioner for Refugees, also the High Commissioner of Human Rights. Hopefully, two other very high-level panelists, to discuss these issues from various aspects, because they will present, I'm pretty sure, a world assessment on the question of food security, health security, and climate change. So, having such a discussion within the human rights is, we do consider it's also the right place to discuss these issues, and hopefully to get from there, concrete recommendations, suggestions, which I will, under my own responsibility as President of the Council, share with the President of the General Assembly, the co-facilitators working in New York, currently in very intensive negotiations for elaborating and submitting the Pact of the Future to be adopted, hopefully, for during the next summit, which will take place, Summit of the Future, which will take place in New York, end of September, as you know. Thank you. Thank you for being present also, and for giving importance and interest, at least, to this event. Thank you, Mr. Pascal.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you all for your participation.